Deputy Speaker, one of the things I really believe, having worked with Indigenous communities, is that we have to help Indigenous Australians have their own voice in this national conversation. And one of the things that really devastates me is the fact that ATSIC was shut down, so this was Indigenous self-government, was shut down quite a long time ago, and nothing has been built in its place. So what we have now is 3, 4, 5% of our population who are dispersed with such different interests, such different life experiences all over the country, but with no voice. And what we see happening as a result is that politicians can pick Indigenous leaders who are saying the things that they want to hear and anoint them as Indigenous leaders. And that's not good enough, Deputy Speaker. I think that Indigenous people need their own voice and their own right to their own democracy. And I do believe that means creating a structure that's similar to ATSIC. Deputy Speaker, we see problems with democracy in lots of other parts of our country. I know that in your state of New South Wales, we've seen a few issues there over recent years. But we don't shut down democracy. We don't take away people's right to be represented. And I'm really shocked that that's been allowed to happen to Indigenous Australians. We can't solve this problem without them being our true partners in this discussion. Deputy Speaker, I want to briefly mention the important role of Indigenous girls and women in this discussion. One of the things that's a guiding principle of our international development policy is that we invest in women and girls overseas because women and girls are shown to use the additional resources they have to invest in the wealth and the health and welfare of their own children, and that grows their own community in a really positive way. Yet, Deputy Speaker, we haven't done the same thing for Indigenous women and girls, and this is an obvious place for us to improve. I'm pleased to see that Labor is supporting the STARS program, which is effectively like a Clontarf program, but for women and girls. And it's doing great things up in Darwin, and I really want to see that rolled out more across the country. Deputy Speaker, I want to say one more thing to ordinary Australians about this problem, and that is that government is not going to solve this problem unless you work with us to express your outrage and your utter unwillingness to accept the situation as it is today. Sometimes people in this parliament say, don't politicise Aboriginal issues, don't politicise Indigenous issues. Well, that's just ridiculous. This is a political problem. This is about who has power and resources in our community. And until the majority of Australians are willing to stand up with one voice and say we have to do better, we must do better, then this problem is not going to get resolved. So I want to encourage Australians to say, with me, this is not good enough, and I hope to see something better in next year's Closing the Gap speech.